Hello, welcome back to another episode of me fumbling my way through one of these CSS positioning tasks, and we'll look at the Royal Blood one now, which I quite like. I think it looks pretty cool. Anyway, let's have a look at how things are looking just now. So, yeah, let's come on, computer. Yeah, just the usual stuff. Okay, and I might do as I did before, actually drag this off into its own little bit. Okay, so what are we looking for here? Okay, so we've got a heading, Royal Blood. Now we want that. Let's maybe try to deal with that first. So that to me looks like it's in its own little section over here, and you know, when we look at horizontal positioning, that tells us about our floats, as in we look at things next to one another. So I've got this bit here, this black bit that says Royal Blood, and then everything else is next to it on the right hand side. That means this bit here must be floated. And everything else, well, we can imagine that in a big container of its own. So there are like two containers here, one that's floated left and the other one is pushed up to the right. So let's deal with that initially. Get rid of this usual garbage that has appeared. And where are we? Okay, heading 1. Do I even... I'll just put it in a div. It seems easier. I'll just use an ID. Let's call it... it's just on the left-hand side. That's a rubbish ID. Left-hand side. Oh well, you can do something better. And then everything else, I'm just using div. I'm not sure this counts as a section, or maybe it's... I'm going to use divs for this. Wild. I can't think of anything descriptive that's more appropriate. A section? Maybe it's a section. There we go. Okay, and let's call this... I've got a good one coming up. Right hand side. You see? Anyway, let's attempt to style the left hand side of it. So you know what? I'm going to start off with some easy stuff. The colours. It's white text on black. So color, white. There we go. Background color, black. And the font size must be bigger. Royal Blood. Yeah, it's this is zoomed in, mind you. I'm gonna go for something a bit bigger. Let's just go font size. Okay. Oh, and then actually the most important part, the thing I want to do was float that to the left. So if I float that all to the left, then the right hand side should float up to the right hand side of it. Let's see if that works for us. No. Wait, did that work at all? What am I doing? Why did nothing happen there? Let me just run that in Crow. I mean, clearly I did something stupid. Let me pause. I did do something stupid, didn't I? Why did no one tell me? That's a blooming ID. It's not... there we go. Right. It's been a long morning. Let's try again. Right, okay. So now, obviously I want to deal with the height of it a bit. Now there are a couple of ways we could get the height. We could, as ever, we can just put in an absolute value. I mean, on this screenshot here, we're making assumptions there. We could just play about with it, make it an absolute value, or we could make it a bit more responsive. What we go for, responsive is always good. So if I set the height to 100%. Let's see. That makes no difference. That's because there's a little trick. That div is a child of the body. I should do a bit slightly better indentation there, shouldn't I? Indent, there we go. So that div is a child of the body, and there's a little, if you make the height of the body 100%, then I think that will then fix this. Or not. Who knows? Might be wrong. Okay. I'll come back to that. I'll have a think. Let's, for now, just do this. There we go. That'll surely solve the problem. Yeah, 1000 pixel bit excessive. I wonder why that 100% thing didn't work. I'll have to have a think about that. Okay, let's. I don't want you anymore. Let's have a look here. Now, look, there's a big gap there, and you should be able to spot that that is not a margin. That is padding, I would have thought. We've got certainly a fair bit of padding around there. Let's try increasing the padding for the left hand side. So I'm just going to go padding at the top, shall we say? Let's padding at the top. Let's just experiment there. And it looked like a bit of padding on the left and right as well. Oh, now I can do this a bit. I can do this shorthand, can't I? What do you do? 50 px. I think that's top and bottom. And then left, right. Let's. I think that's 50 px top and bottom, 20 left and right. Oh, and just change that so it just says padding. Maybe I'll make this slightly easier to read. There we go. Right. I mean, sorry, now you're watching me faff about trying to make this slightly more readable. Right, let's save that. Let's see. Oh no, wait, I was getting the space automatic. I don't even need the padding at the top. Kill dommage. 20px looks about right at the sides though, doesn't it? Yeah. Heading, of course, by default will have a bit of padding there. Let me remove that. Let's just go. What do you think? Let's just set the padding all the way around to 20 pixels. That should be about right. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, let's see. Now, okay, so look at this. They're right next to each other. So we need a bit of space between the left-hand side here and the right-hand side. So that's a margin, a bit of space between the elements. Let me just refresh that, see if the padding's any better. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. A bit of space between elements. So I'll maybe just give, I could give, the right-hand side a left margin, a space down the left, or I can give the left-hand side a space down the right, a right margin. I'm dealing with this just now, so let's just go for this. You see, when I made these up years ago, about 2 years ago, I always stick with the same boring numbers, 50 pixels and 50 and 10 and 20. So I'm going to go with 50 pixels as an initial point. Let's just see. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I think that's pretty close. We could, as ever, we could have done that right margin I did there as a percentage. It would just mean that if I do this, if I make it smaller, what you'd end up with is that if we did it as a percentage, that margin would get smaller and smaller. And I think that's a bit rubbish. I don't really like margins and paddings as percentages most of the time. tend to prefer them as absolute values, certainly when they're small values like that. Whereas the widths and heights of things, I think that works quite well as percentages for responsive design. Okay, so next thing, pretty happy with the left hand side. Next thing, so now let's see if we can get, so within each album here we've got a heading, an image, and then the track listing. We want that track listing to float up beside here. So the image needs to be floating to the left. So we've got like a little section for each album. Yeah. Let's so let's organize this a bit. Within the right hand side, I'm going to use a section here. I've got a section for that album, and then I've got another section for this album. So I'm always looking at ways that the content can be kind of grouped together. Is that that's my right hand side, yeah. So what am I doing? Anyone help me, please? There we go. Right, so we've got a section, and you know what? I'll give these sections a class. We'll call them album. That would make sense. Class equals album, and I'll do the same for the other section. There we go. We could just style the section. I think I did that in a previous one. But this allows us to have sections that aren't containing albums and style them differently. Okay, so within that, then we've got this track listing, this ordered list. I could put that in a section, or I think if I just do the image, okay, I'll do things properly. Let's give the images a class as well. We'll call it cover, album cover, something like that. Okay, just again, so if there are other images that aren't album covers, then it's not going to cause problems here. Right, now the tricky bit, I have to actually try to style these things. So, if I get the cover, now I'm not going to make the same mistake again, it's a class. There we go. If I make the album cover float to the left, then it floats to the left, then sorry, I'm putting my hand over my mouth there, whoops. It floats to the left, then the list, which is currently below it, should push up beside it. Yeah, seems pretty likely. Nice. Now, here we go. Here's a problem. That works at a certain point, but then we get this point where it tries to move up there. So surely we can use clear here. I think. Could we clear now? So we just want this ordered list to float up to the left, float up to the right hand side of it, and then we want the next thing to not float. Now we can't. I was going to say there, let's just put let's just get the album section, the album class to clear so it ignores the floats. But then, would that work? Let's try it. I've got a couple of other thoughts about that. What am I doing? Album class. Let's just see. So remember, clear just means ignore the float that's above it. And really, I could just do clear left there, clear both. Will this even work? Probably not. Whoa. I mean, what have I done there? Oh, it's ignoring. Right, yeah, not a good idea then. Not a good idea. Here's another thought I've had. Let's just, for each album, I want to see background color cyan. I just want to see a bit better what's going on. Wait, did I not fix that? Let me pause while I work out what stupid thing I'm doing. You're probably screaming at the screen. What are you playing at, Hill? Hang on. Yeah, I see what I'm playing at. I deleted the wrong stuff, didn't I? Oh, God. Right. I meant to delete the clear both, not the float left. That was it, wasn't it? It would be handy to have a class here shouting at me. You idiot! What are you playing at? Right. What am I even looking at here? Let me ponder this for a moment and I'll have my thoughts and then I'll say my thoughts out loud for you. And one thought I've had, which I don't know if it's going to fix my problem, but it's certainly a thought I've had, is it's the clear fix stuff again. Right. I'm definitely seeing it here. I've highlighted this section blue, and within it there's the album cover, and it is sticking out right out of the section. This is where I think, you know, changing the colours of elements can help you spot things like this. So look, that image is supposed to be inside this section, but it's sticking right out of it. It's too big. That is a time when we need the clear fix hack. So we apply it to the thing that's sticking out. I think no, the thing it's sticking out of. It's oh no, I can't now. I can't even. No, it's the thing it's sticking out of. So let's go for width auto. What is it? Overflow auto. I think that's it. I think there's a bit more. If you look up on W3 Schools, there's a slightly longer one, which is probably slightly better. Let's see. Oh, fix the problem. Yes. Right. Clear fix. Blimmin' clear fix. Drives me mad. Okay. Yeah, it's just one of these little things. And by the way, if you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, I mean, you'll find it all over the web. I don't know why I'm specifically looking it up on W3 Schools, but have a look at this. You know, have a look at this page. Elements after a floating element. Right. Okay. Anyway, actually, what I want to do is look and see if they've got slightly more to it. It's the overflow auto. That's it. And then. They've got some other new modern clear fix hack. God, I should probably be using that. Right, okay. Not to worry, that's overflow auto. That's the important part. Now let's have a look at what else is going wrong here. Kicking off in my house a bit, I can hear. These bullets. Okay, so the list items, there's something going wrong with them, so let's style them. In fact, you know what, let's just put a margin on the. I can see obviously the way it does stuff is like it puts the content of the list item right next to it, and then to the left it puts the bullet marker, which means it's now overlapping. So let's first of all let's just put a bit of a right margin on the image. That's what I'm going to go for. A bit of space, so its cover isn't margin, right? And I'm probably just going to put in like 50 pixels as I always do, because that's probably what I thought at the time when I made this. I probably don't have 50 pixels. That'll do. Let's see how that. Yes, that's better. And a little bit of, I think we maybe got a bit more plain about margin things here. And look at this. Look at the list items there. The gap between the bullet and the bit of text, you know, one and then a space out of the black. Let's look at there's a tiny space. So I would say that's padding within the list item. There's also actually, excuse me, there's also a bit of a gap, more of a gap in between each line. I mean, we could probably then do, so I'd say that's padding there. This would work as padding or a margin, I think. So it's the list items. Let's just style them a bit. Now again, if I had other list items here, I'd have to be careful what I do, but let's just, I can't be bothered putting them all within a particular, well, no, I'm being lazy. Let's do something that's higher level. Let's not, I'm supposed to be demonstrating here. I can't say things like, I can't be bothered. That's ridiculous. Let's use descendants. We've learnt about that. So, I'm going to give my ordered lists a class. I'm calling it tracks. That'll do. Let's give this one the same class. And now, so this takes into account the possibility that there are other list items which aren't part of, you know, track listing. If I say class tracks li, so that means it's only going to apply this to list items which are a child of the class tracks. Okay, class tracks, this list item is a child of it, so is this one. Okay, so let's go for, I can probably do this quite shorthand, can't I? Let's, really it's the left, well it's left and top or bottom, so let's just do sort of 2 pixels, and in fact let's just do 2 pixels all the way around. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks a bit better, doesn't it? Very close. I feel like that needs to be a bit bigger still. 5. I mean, oh god, now that's a bit much now. Now it's getting into just trial and error territory. That's not what I want. 3 pixels. There we go. Oh yeah, I think that's not bad. I could, I think that's looking pretty good. Okay. Is there anything I'm missing? You know what's bothering me actually? This, I wanted to do that 100%. Why doesn't that work? I'm going to get rid of this cyan. Let me see a bit better how things compare. Get lost you. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, I think that's pretty close. I think the one thing, so notice here on this, that does take up the exact height of these things. It stops really neatly there. What's the deal with that? So I think, what am I trying to do? I'm going to pause this while I think. Okay, so I had to do a quick bit of investigation because I was sure the way I'd done this before had worked. But what I'm going to do is set the height to 100%. Now, there's a problem. The problem is when you do a percentage, that relates to the parent element. So LHS, I don't know what it's like in your household at the moment. It's a little tense here. The LHS, yeah, its parent. Oh my god! 2 seconds. Its height is 100% of its parent element, which is the body. The problem is the body's element is set to auto, and it actually is kind of zero really auto. So what you do is then you set the body, its height to 100%. And then the problem with that, and I was sure that had worked for me before, but clearly I was wrong. The problem with that is then the body's parent element is the HTML element. This one with all this extra nonsense in it. And it's kind of set to auto. So actually, if we set HTML height to 100%, I think that fixes the problem. So now LHS takes up 100% of its parent, which is body, which takes up 100% of its parent, which is the HTML. Let's see. There we go. Now, here's the funny thing. So that works. So that's a nice little trick. However, it actually doesn't look like you can see the things I've been Googling there. This was the one. This explained it in quite a lot of detail. Explained it quite nicely. I didn't remember it being that complex. I'm sure it wasn't. Well, in fact, the reason I'm sure it wasn't is because if I look at this, there's actually, it stops. It doesn't take up, it stops at a specific point. So that, I would say, is possibly just an absolute height. Although I've just had one tiny thought, I'm going to pause. Nah, it was a rubbish thought. So, I'm going to try to get exactly the same. I've learnt something though. Did I know that at one point? Or have I just... I think I just did things a different way. I'm going to experiment with the height here, a bit of trial and error. Now, so I can see... I saw the images were 300 pixels high, plus, you know, let's see, 300 pixels, a little bit for that, 650, something like that. Let's go for it. So I'm changing the height of that left bar to 650, and oh, so close. It's got to 700 or 7,000. 700 seems more sensible. Oh, nice. Right. I think allowing for, you know, little differences in size of margins and padding and things, I think pretty much nailed that. Okay. Oh, that helped a little. I mean, maybe it helps. Maybe it's encouraging to see that, you know, there's not just a... I don't just look at it and go, yeah, that's what's happening. The things to spot for again, just to summarise, to look for again, to summarise all this, you're looking for the horizontal positioning allows you to determine whether things have been floated. And by grouping things together using your semantic elements or your divs, you can sort out the floats. So that whole thing there floated left, and then that means this big group will move up beside it. And then within that, we can group things together using divs or semantic elements. And then we can see that because these are horizontally positioned, the album cover and the track listing, it means that this must be floating to the left, which means this is pushing up beside it, the track listing pushing up. And then after that, it's just, you know, paddings and margins, and I guess widths and heights as well. Okay. Oh, that's a long one. See ya.